The Ever-Creative Self by W. Frederic Keeler, read by Dave Marsland of Cardiff Theosophical Society. The Ever-Creative Self. Out of nowhere came life. It was nowhere, to be alone, so the Great One made company of himself for himself. Godhood revolved itself into parts, and by the law of that first act, the parts resolved themselves into like parts, and so creation was, and existence is, and so creation and existence are, and ever will be. For what the one has done shall not and cannot be undone, and so the doing is, and ever shall be, life-building. Each act of every soul gives life, and the act of each soul gives life to that soul and to others. To give life, the law of the first act of the first one is, from that nowhere somewhere shall be, when a soul shall commune with itself, for in that somewhere it shall find itself knowingly. He who takes thought of the things of life grants life. If he shall have the powers of life, he shall do this act of thought in full consciousness, knowing the manner of its doing. This is creation, this is life, and this is knowledge of and wisdom concerning life. If we would live then, we have but to know that each act brings life. If we are to live in full possession of our life-giving powers at all times, we must know that we are not single, separate, or apart from the whole, from the totality of things. Not to be apart from is to be actually one. Man is within himself and of himself the entirety, the whole. He is all. If he refuses to believe this, then in belief he refuses much, for he denies not only his source, but himself. Should a giant deny his strength and lie idle, he would wither, but still he would be gigantic. Should a fish deny to itself the swimming, it would still float. So though man deny his godhood, his limitlessness, his grandeur, his perfection, yet he is all these things. But man sleeps. Man, before whom all things are possible, to whom nothing in all the world can be denied, who stands not apart from the ends of creation, would stand apart from himself. In this is the sinning. There is no other sin. In this lies the wrong. All else is right. Because of this is he fallen. For in truth he is on the heights, and he sleeps. When will man arouse himself? For no other can arouse him. When will he be that which he is? When will he will to be that which he is? When this sleeper shall awaken, glories shall be as the dawn. The sky shall brighten, the horizon disappear. Worlds shall he hold in his hand. All the universal all will be near. When the sleeper shall awaken, he will find himself everywhere and during all time. He will have no need to play with the pictures of the times which came and went. He will not care for the places which were, are, or will be. Why should he? Being all these things, he would be more, and being all these things, he takes thought, and ever will take thought, to be more. The sleeper awake is God. The sleeper asleep is man in limitation's spell. Under that spell he is content. Freed from it, and in his greatest glory, he would be more than content. This is why life is. This is why life is not. He that stretches forth his hand shall find, and even the withered hand shall find the manner of stretching forth. What hindrance is there? What let is there? All is granted, but much is refused acceptance. Why weep you who sleep? None weeps whose eyes are open, unless it be from the greatness of the light. None smiles that sleeps unless it be from dreams, themselves often reality denied. With skies illumined, with hearts of men laid bare, with minds secretless, with souls bending to the warmth of love, with all these things to have if awake, man sleeps or drowses. The blandishments of earth are upon him as a lethargy. The sensations of flesh are with him a drug. In his sleep he smiles content. In his lack of such sleep he groans, when there is no rest except in wakefulness to the everlasting bliss of self-knowledge. So the dreamer dreams, and toys with the things of his dream state. So being not awake, he knows not of life. To awaken suddenly from these slumbers would perchance disturb, for who, upon awakening, is not confused, mystified, puzzled? And so he sinks back again to mumble, and to murmur against a sleep which he will not throw off. Life is incomprehensible to him, because he does not see life. Life is a thing to be avoided, shunned, scorned, spurned, because it is sleep instead of life. Only the instinct, the impulse, the voice of the calling wakefulness remains of all his heritage. He would have more of the good things, but he would have them of the substance of dreams. He would have happiness, but his happiness must be of the kind that drowns, dulls, deadens. When will the sleeper awake? When the life of creative possibilities, of far-seeing faculties, and of self-possession is freed from these damnations of flesh dominant, of passions prominent, of desires earthward born, when together with the illusory vapourings of their making, these things, which cross the dulled mind as fumes from the pits of the utterly lost, are scorned. Then shall man be truly aroused to his own. To rouse ourselves, and gird on the mantle of purity and purpose, is to have forthwith the things of all eternity and endless space. To step forth with the true self, listening to its behests, is to us all creation only content in creating. The first act has not been completed, the last act is not begun. Creation was and is, and creation ever will be, but only he who is awake shall have the things of immortal ken. He who sleeps, of sin. What is right and what is not right? Will the morals of a nation weigh in truth, as man shall come to know truth? No, the morals of a nation are for that nation. The morals of the higher life are of the higher life. It is right to be awake, keen, alive to the realities of life, those qualities which last and endure as character, will, and wisdom. Then will the course of fellowship run smooth. Right and wrong between men will discriminate of itself. Then will mortal love without lust. Then will wisdom protect love in the eyes of the criticaster. All will recognise truth, no matter how truth stands forth. The basest among mankind sees the higher light in each act, which is of truth unadulterated. It behoves the doer to cleanse his acts within himself. All else is folly. How can he purify his fellows, being himself unclean? To live truly awake within the realms of self is to know the delights possible to all other selves. One shall find these great things when one earnestly seeks them. So the masters will be with us, for the masters seek those who seek themselves. So the love of angels will be with us, for they cannot love those who refuse indwelling. To dwell within the great is to be great. To be great is to dwell with the self. To be on good terms with self, effort to that end only is required. Is such effort toil? Is it an effort of unattainable magnitude? Why be appalled at its contemplation? Are you not convinced? Do you then know yourself? How shall you know of things else, lacking the knowledge of self? To seek self-acquaintanceship, one must pause, stop short of the trend of one's mortal life. To stop is to be quiet, to rest, to cease resistance. Pit self against nothing, then you are turned within. At first, you may not know the great realm of the within. You may not hear its sweet music or feel its delights. You are a timid stranger in the streets of life. Its mansions you do not enter. Being one taught to fear, you hesitate. Being one from the land of hatred, malice, envy, you know not love, happiness, or joy, and not knowing these things, you pass them by, even in the streets of the great life. In lordly majesty of personality, you refuse the kingship of impersonality. You refuse to share with, and hence to be with, the things of life. You hold to the sleep state, fearing the awakening. Because not of love, you fear it, and will not be convinced that you are not of it, so proud are you of the small possessions of a life of mortality, which you would spurn, yet to which you cling. Can you not be settled, agreed within yourself, on this one question? Which will you have, the greater life to which this mortal life shall be subject, or will you half hold to this and half see the other? To be awake to the realities of the great soul within one's being is simply to still the whirl of mortal activities. Step aside, sit down as to a pleasure, knowing that a repast of soul food awaits you. Have the faith of the possible, have the conviction of the possibilities of self. Know that to rest keenly alive to this is to experience all. Seek it as you would seek treasure on earth. Ask that this time and this strength be granted as you would ask for life itself. Be not denied more than you would be denied mortal substance, for it is all these things. Wanting the things of earth, seek self and have them. We have what we can appreciate. Learn to appreciate the true noble self. Within that self you have the things of nobility. Learn these simple truths and have all truths and all things. Such consciousness is the creative consciousness, and you are the creator now.